Hey guys, welcome back to Chris and Retro. Tonight's video is going to be a warning. It's kind of the dangers of something that I found out in a very difficult way in 2021. And I want to share this with you for those that are supporting people in the situation, as well as those that are in the situation, just to give a heads up that how serious this is. And it certainly isn't anything that I saw coming by any means. And I'll share that with you in a second. First, I want to thank everybody that has commented, liked, and added new subscribers to the channel as a result of my work with Jesse on Fire. Thank you so much for participating in what we're doing here. Jesse is an MMA channel, but he's got a story that crosses over into some of the stuff we're talking here about. If you're new to the channel, if you're new to what I'm doing here, what I want to do is share with my retrospective view on my own life of recovery from addiction and mental health issues, and share some lessons that I've learned, as well as those of my guests and other resources, to find ways to avoid high risk living, the cost of high risk living, and what can actually happen, and just have you take heed to warnings. The second thing is to let you know that if things are really busted up and you really can't figure it out, you're usually one more move away from hope. There's always one more move to make, and hope does present itself if you just keep moving forward and don't give up. This channel is here to offer those options for you if you're struggling, or if somebody you love is struggling. I love to have you here, and hopefully we can be a vehicle for you to find a better day. Somebody invested in my life to get me here today, and I want to do the same for you as well. So thank you, and welcome to the channel. Tonight, we're going to talk about a video related to substance use disorder and pregnancy. There's an article put out this week, and I'll share this with you. I guess I'll share that with you right now. There was an article out a few days ago. I found it actually through LinkedIn. Let me see who this was through. So it is stat.com. I'm not sure, or statnews.com. It's a medical publication. Pregnant people with substance use disorders need treatment, not criminalization. So I'm not sure the headline really carries into what I'm looking for, because I'm not really talking about arrests. But my experience with this, I did not realize how serious postpartum depression can be for some women. So I just never really looked at it. And I guess it's pretty hypocritical, because one of the things that got me in trouble in my life is that I had a successful career. Things were going very well. And because things were going well, I didn't really see that the need to get help for any depression or anxiety, when in fact I was actually diagnosed with depression and anxiety later on, after everything burned down. Now on this side of it, I've heard of postpartum depression. I've gone through, 5, almost 6 years worth of recovery work. And, I just didn't recognize how serious postpartum depression could be. On top of that, you add in mental health issues that already pre-exist that drove somebody to substance use, usually from trauma. And these bad feelings are baffling, and they really just are. And I'll share with you a personal story, to let you know exactly how baffling this can be. But this article is interesting because it says that, they call out the addiction and overdose crisis, and it's clearly out of control. We talk about more access. We talk about more options and things like that, for sure. Anything you can do to get connected is a big deal. Medically assisted treatment, where medicine tries to help us. And, I have a kind of a mixed opinion on that. I think it's necessary, especially early on. My opinion is that the overdose rates are still climbing, and I don't see it helping. I could be wrong. So I like I said, I'm no professional. I'm no scientist. I've talked to people that are professionals and highly credentialed, and they question too. You would expect, with the amount of investment there is to medically assisted treatment, that you'd seen it turn things around a little bit, and it's just not. So in this article, it cites that more than 100,000 lives per year are killed. And I think it's a fair characterization. We've seen it. I think that I don't like how that's worded, for one reason. If you say more than 100,000 lives are killed each year, lives each year are lost because of this, it generalizes it. The fact is we've gone from 70 to 90 to 101, and now exceeding that again. I mean, this is what the last 4 years have looked like. And now, because we're facing election years, and there isn't a lot that people can say they're doing well in world policy for the US, or anything else really, for that matter, environment or anything else. They're trying to grab on this addiction thing as an election vehicle. Now, I'm glad that there's attention to it. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just not sure that it's being used with the correct intent. And I don't know that the follow through will be there after the election is over, but hopefully it will be. So this article is talking about overdose. This is the shock for me. It says it shows little sign of abating overdose, that is, and emerging data highlights it's starting to impact on pregnant people. So Now we're looking at subsets of the population. So before we were looking at overdoses. And so if I just look at an overdose patient, somebody that died or just overdosed, and well, not just overdosed, but somebody overdosed and they didn't die, they're still just them. It's not me. It's not us. And so what I want to try to do is bring it to you, to your home, and have you recognize it could be right in your face. And this is something we got to pay attention to. And there might be somebody around you that you love that is struggling. Well, this was startling to me. Columbia University said that they recently reported that drug overdose deaths among pregnant and postpartum people has increased by 81% between 2017 and 2020. In September 2022, the CDC released data showing that deaths related to mental health conditions, including substance use disorders, amount for 23% of deaths during pregnancy in the year following, or in the year following it. 23% of the deaths in pregnancy or the year following it are due to overdose. That's startling to me. It's startling to me. The article goes on. It says it outstrips excessive bleeding, cardiovascular conditions, or other well-known complications of pregnancy. So we go through these. We're going through the. You're going through the preparation and the excitement of having a child. But if you have a pre-existing substance use disorder, you got some mental health issues. There really isn't a lot of whoa, heads up. There's postpartum depression coming in. In fact, there's usually some manipulation of the medicine that you're on, which I find that to be tremendously troubling. I'm going to share with you a story in my life, and where this really hit home, and it was scary, very scary for me. It was scary for my loved one, and I'm going to share with you. I'm going to share with you the best I can without, I'll just share it with you. I know that. No, hopefully this impacts you. This is a very real thing. Very real thing. If you've got somebody that you love that has a child coming or has just had a child, people are around this baby and the baby's beautiful. The mom, it may outwardly look like she's tremendously happy. And what should she not be happy? Everybody loves a baby, right? For people that are struggling with mental health issues, especially with substance use disorder, you don't know why you feel like you do sometimes. You just don't understand, but you just don't feel right. You feel off will be a lot of the words you'll hear. This heaviness you'll feel. I personally believe it's related to a spiritual component as well. And I'm not saying people are not doing the right thing spiritually. I'm just saying I believe it's a spiritual battle as well as a physical and mental health battle chemically. So in my life, I have 4 kids, biological children of my own. I have 3 with my first wife. They're all older. The youngest is 17. I got a 19-year-old and a 25-year-old who has given me my first grandchild. So I've got the where I should be for my age group, and then I've got a 19-month-old baby girl, and she is with my relationship, my fiance. You've met her on this show, Sam, and our child is, I think, the most beautiful child in the whole world. I just do. I think she's gorgeous. She's got a great personality, and she is a person that Sam and I love dearly. And I don't think either one of us there's nothing that either one of us would do for her that wouldn't do for her. We would go to any length to make sure she's okay. We love her so much. We do. And it's been that way right from the start. I remember when she was first born, Sammy, they put Nova on Sammy's chest, and I forget what I even said to her, but when I started speaking, she was scrambling around trying to find my voice. I was in love from that minute forward, and it's done nothing but grow since. In December of 2021, I became very aware on December 13th of 2021 that Sam was struggling with postpartum depression. I was unaware. I mean, there was no evidence of it for me, even being around mental health issues, that she was really, really struggling and in many ways in trouble. Here's a picture of Sam and Nova. Happy mom. Sleeping. Cutest picture. I love that picture so much. So peaceful. I love it. At the bus stop, waiting for Sam's other daughter. These are the images of our life. They really were. This is what seemed like what was going on was outwardly a beautiful mom, beautiful baby, happy life. The summer's great. Everything's going well. Postpartum depression was an animal that we had no idea how powerful it was. Postpartum depression layered on top of all the other things that can happen with mental health and substance use disorder is absolute gasoline on the fire. And in our situation, it wasn't anything we were prepared for, and certainly hadn't been counseled that this is something we should really watch out for. And that's unfortunate. And in fact, to the opposite, her mental health provider at the time started messing around with her medication, started causing her all kinds of conflict, trying to make sure she had the mental health medication she needed, and really was treating her like she was some sort of a subservient scumbag of a person, basically, because she was having these feelings and they couldn't figure out how to deal with it. And they were calling her names like manipulative and all this other stuff, until finally on December 13th, 2021, she was to be at a mental health appointment to get to manage her scripts and what was going on related to this. And at no point had they really dug in, even though the counselor at one point had acknowledged postpartum depression is something she should watch out for. And even at one point it advised a stronger dose of one of her medications. They still did not stay alongside of her on that and give us the awareness of what we should do. To us, it was just like one more warning, in pregnancy, kind of like, gestational diabetes and all this. It was really one more thing. We didn't think it could get any worse for mental health and depression than it did. Well, it certainly did, because instead of going to that appointment on December 13th, 2021, Sam overdosed on this street, right in the spot. It was the worst phone call I think I've had ever. I was told that she's stable and that she's being taken to a trauma center here in Rochester, New York, for observation. We went from this mom to that street with hours and a frustration that had built on over time with postpartum depression. Now, of course, there were a lot of things that led to this. So there's a lot of things that we could have seen, and probably if we paid more attention, with a new baby, and, my daughter was going to college, and, Sam's job had a lot of pressure on at the time. And, I had a new job going, and we had a new home, and it was just a lot going on. We didn't pay attention to some things we probably should have, but neither here nor there. There wasn't an awareness of exactly how serious it was. Now, we're fortunate that Sam had only done 1/3 of what she had purchased that day, or she would not be here with us today. And I thank God every day that she'd made it through. For somebody in your life that's pregnant and they've had issues with substance use disorder, no matter how long their recovery season is before that, be warned. This is serious. This is no joke. They're not whining. They're not throwing a fit. They're not being dramatic. There is something going on and they cannot put their finger on it, to the point that 23% of pregnancy deaths are from postpartum depression and substance use disorder related to it, and taking their lives. 23% of pregnant moms' deaths, 23% of the mothers lost before their child is even of age to go to school, are because of overdose death related to this depression and anxiety that comes out of postpartum depression. What do you do about it? For me, I would have doubled down on it probably more had I just not said, oh yeah, I've heard about that for a bunch of years. And having 3 other children, I didn't see it as much before. It probably was there. In hindsight, looking back, I think it was definitely there, and I was probably pretty insensitive to it, to my first wife. I was definitely insensitive to it, and I'm sure it was there for her. But if you're alongside somebody that you see that's having a child, if they have somebody, a support system, or they do not, if they're currently struggling, there's a lot of people that struggle with addiction even through their pregnancy. Help them get through that. Help them move away from that substance. But also on the other side, recognize if they have this season of sobriety, they are a very high risk on the other side of death. 23% of them that pass because of overdose. I generally try to provide something that is a little more hopeful for you tonight, but this is a warning, and it's simply all it is. It's a warning. Be aware. Don't take it lightly. My world was changed, and my thoughts and fears were pronounced on December 13th, 2021. In a time when we're so excited for a beautiful little girl, Nova Bella, we almost were going to a funeral before she even turned 1. I can't even imagine. The other side of this too, though, is that overdose death is not the end of the story with this thing. You overdose and it affects your body, it affects your health. You're never the same, I don't think. There's just so much that it impacts in your life, and Sam certainly has experienced that. You know, these are avoidable situations. I've always said prevention is the key. Prevention is the key. Prevention is absolutely the key. It's a tough topic for me. It strikes right home. It's right here in my home. And what do we do about it? Well, one of the things I'm doing about it is being true to my message and my purpose, and that is to give you guys warnings about things that I've seen and the heartache that comes alongside of it. I'm fortunate that we dodged a bullet, so to speak, that day. But where we go from here, we'll see. Guys, thank you for tuning in. Please stay tuned to what we're working on. Like I said, I think in one of my previous videos, a week from yesterday, next Thursday, I've got Brian Yates on, a former co-host of mine of another show we did called 100 Proof Living, a conversation with a cop and a criminal. I'm pretty excited to have Brian back on and reunite the team, so to speak. We're going to talk about mental health in first responders and veterans, military veterans. He is a military war veteran, and he is a veteran of law enforcement and private security details and the whole deal. He's a real gangster, so to speak, and good guy, good faith in God, and he's got a really interesting perspective on things. So I'm pretty excited to have him on. I hope you guys enjoy that as well. Thank you again for tuning in. Between now and then, please stay productive, stay focused on your goals. Look at some of the warnings that I'm sharing with you and some of the tips and tricks that we have from others. If you're not sure how to deal with something, you're feeling a little off, make sure you check the support systems that some of you trust, or some of you exactly like you've thought through it. Don't isolate. You don't have to do it by yourself. Stay productive on your journey, and by all means, please stay out of trouble.